Everybody, you beautiful, conscious, nice, rich. Y'all rich. I know y'all rich. Y'all got money because y'all into Black history. So y'all done worked on your mind. And so I know y'all got money. All y'all successful, beautiful brothers and sisters of all nationalities out there. I'm Anthony Brogdon, and thank you for watching me here at Strong Inspirations. I'm excited that y'all tuning in and watching me. And because I get messages every now and then from somebody that said, woo, that was a good interview. Y'all gonna say that on this brother here that's on the channel. Let me tell you, man, ladies that are watching me, he can't hear me. Ooh, he gonna knock it out the box. And let me tell you something. Me and this guy right here, we got a connection through that fraternal stuff. I don't put that out there, all y'all, but y'all know the black and gold is what I'm talking about. We got a connection through that. And I seen him on Twitter, and he got all these deep thoughts he be tweeting out, man. That stuff be so deep. I'll be like, yo, I got to hit up this brother. And I hit him up, and he said, man, I'm busy. And then one day hey, let me tell you something, people. I begs these people sometimes. I want them that bad. Ain't no, y'all, they can tell me it's in 3 years from now, and I'll be like, what date? Because I'm gonna be here 3 years from now, and I need him. So my man, he was, we were going around and around, and then here he is on Strong Inspirations. Man, let me tell y'all something, my viewers. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. It don't ask no information. It really, all it does is let me know you like me. And I don't care, because I'm gonna keep doing this. You can't stop this train. Hit the like button on this video, because he's gonna blow your mind. My man, nice, happy guy and everything. He gonna tell it to you in a happy way, and then he gonna intoxicate you, because what we do here on the channel is we give it to you straight, no chaser. And then hit the notifications bell, because I'm putting them up 3, 4, maybe 5 a week, something like that. And so get the notification bell, hit that right when the videos come up, and then tell somebody about Strong Inspiration. Everybody, did you watch the video that I did with the lady who is out of London, England? Her dad was from Barbados, and her mom is a white Polish woman. Dad hooked up with the mom, had the child, what have you. You know how it go. And now her mom got her involved in Black history, and now she runs the UK Society of Genealogists. And before she got the job, all they did was white people. She said, I'm changing that. I want my brothers and sisters to understand how they can trace their family back to them Caribbean islands and all that other stuff that they took us.
Oh, that's right.
Watch that video. My confidence is high in regards to the channel, right? So I decided to have my own Black History Festival in Kansas City, Kansas. I ain't little no more. And what I'm doing is, I'm gonna make sure it's well organized. You got people that'll greet you. There's a welcome table. You'll know where to go. You'll know where to get the bus. So it's called Freedom Quindaro. It's Memorial Day weekend, May 27th to 29th. And check it out. It's very nominal. It's under $100 that I will feed you for the whole weekend and give you all this. Under $100 per person, and I negotiated a very good rate at the hotel downtown Kansas City, Kansas. And I asked the lady, since they got a swimming pool, I said, hey, I got, we coming through. Can we do a late night swim? She said, sure. So we're gonna do that Friday night. So y'all join, y'all get in on this. This gonna be good. We're gonna dance in a barn and wear your dusty blue jeans. Don't come sharp. Couple more things. Well, here, I'm gonna do it this way. Y'all know I got a movie out. I've been talking long enough. My man, he nodding and saying, hey, I gotta go because I got big things to do. So watch it out. Businessintheblack.net is my movie, a documentary that I produced. I did this. and I took it to 40 cities on my own dime. I've been around, and it's streaming on Amazon. Read my book, Black Business Book. The book is very good. I'm telling you, I believe it's so good that if you read my book and you don't learn nothing new, I give your money back. So have you ever had a book with a money back guarantee? Boom, there it is. Get my book. Very reasonably priced, because I ain't got as many as I used to, but I had boxes in the basement, and they've been selling pretty good. I think my viewers are buying my book, keeping me going here. And go to my website, businessintheblack.net. Now, you all I know you've heard me say this a bunch of times, and I'm gonna say it because it's so representative of the young man that's on the channel today. It's the word that I like using, called strong. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And my man is a strong brother coming out of that Jersey set, that NJ situation. And so strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to him. Come on and tell us your name. Let's get it on. Thank you for being on Strong Inspirations.
My good brother Brogdon, Anthony Brogdon, thank you so much for inviting me. And can you hear me well? Everything good? All right. Yes. I thank you so much. And I do apologize for having you back, because the messages were going back and forth on Twitter and on email. Yeah. I'd see them, and then I thought I responded to them. And then when I saw that last one, I said, oh, I got to give my brother this interview.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm so glad we were able to get it together. And for the listening audience, the viewing audience, my name is Mark Medley. And I am coming up out of New Jersey, out of Paterson, New Jersey, the third largest city in the state of New Jersey. Okay. And I am an educator, but the creator, and God has blessed me to do so many other things in life. But my day job is a principal in a school. I lead an all-male academy, a leadership school in Paterson, New Jersey. Okay. But I also, like my good brother here, I have a radio show. I've been in the media as well. I've hosted my radio show for 21 years now. Really? And it is centered around reading. I have the opportunity to interview authors. So I've been interviewing authors from around the world for over 21 years now. The show is heard live on Saturday mornings from 6 o'clock a.m. to 9 o'clock a.m. I'll give you that information a little bit later. But I heard now when we in the mood. Oh, okay. What's the name of the show? The name of the show is The Reading Circle with Mark Medley. As I said, I interview authors. If you log on to GoBrave, GOBRAVE.org on Saturday mornings from 6 to 9, you can catch the show. Okay. You want to learn everything about me, go to my website. It's my name, Mark, M-A-R-C-A, Medley, MEDLEY.com. So it's markamedley.com. If you go there, you can get everything you need to know about me. But I was fascinated, Brother Brogdon, to hear you talking about genealogy.
Okay, but hold on, before we do that, do you know what I got to do, my man? I got to talk about you for a second. Where were you born and raised? Where are you from?
Oh, in that same city, Paterson, New Jersey.
Now, where's the slave, the plantation in your family?
Well, I'll tell you what, you were talking genealogy, and I went all the way back to the 1700s. My dad's side was from Guinea-Bissau, and my mom's side was from Cameroon. And they came over here. My mom was from Wilmington, North Carolina. My dad was from South Boston, Virginia.
Hold on.
So,
hold on.
I got Virginia and North Carolina plantations.
Where they were from in Africa?
I found out through doing genealogy, just like you said, going back through ancestry.com and africanancestry.com. I was able to go back to my roots. So my dad's side was Guinea-Bissau. My mom's side was Cameroon. I also have some Nigeria in me. But yeah, I was able to go all the way back, and at least as far as the 1700s. And I came by way of, as I said, my dad from South Boston, Virginia, tiny town in Virginia, not too far from Danville. And then my mom from Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay, let me stop right there. Now,
but you don't know about where the plantation was. Was it in?
Yeah, there was plantations about. They had in South Boston, Halifax, Virginia. There's still some there, and down in Wilmington in the Winterville area. They still there. I mean, what they did was they changed them now into resorts and hotels.
Exactly.
But they kept the name. They still have Berry Hill Plantation. They still
have you been there?
I have been by there. I haven't actually been on it, but I ride by it whenever I go into my father's home.
Wow.
But yeah, the plantation, the land is still there. The names are still there. They just changed it from a plantation to now, like I said, it's a resort or either a hotel.
Would you want to meet the people who are the descendants of the enslavers of
You
your
know, to be
people?
honest with you, yeah, I would.
Would you
Just
want to meet
knowing
them?
my background and my history, I would like to meet some of them. Probably, you know, to be honest with you, probably have and didn't know it.
Yeah.
Because even
Because okay, let me ask you this. Well, if you met them, what might be your first question?
I just like, you know, just get to know them and just, first off, I want to see if they knew their history. I'd like to know if they know who their ancestors were. And, you know, because even if I trace my name back, the Medley name, Medley, it traces back to a white man. But as you know, with the slave owners, as they start moving in and mixing in with the various slaves, you know, or they put their names on their slaves, or, you know, if they didn't actually create them by raping one of the slaves, they would actually just give the slave their last name. So when I go back, I can trace my last name Medley back to a Caucasian man. And then over the years, it turned over as more and more African-American Medleys were created.
Where's the name? Where was he from?
He was from over in Europe. They were in Europe.
Yeah.
They came over from Europe, settled in Virginia, got their plantation going. And that's where it all started, from them coming over here from Europe to America, and they landed in that Virginia area.
Do you know of any real issue in your family where the white people did something that y'all had, that your folks had to flee out of Virginia, any of that kind of thing? Any crazy story?
I am not aware of that. I wouldn't be surprised, because I mean, there are Medleys in Virginia, there are Medleys in Tennessee, there are Medleys, you know, in all different parts of the country. There are Medleys there. So I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah, I don't know but I don't know what my first question would be to them.
I don't know what mine would be, to be honest with you, other than to help understand just like I've gone back to research my history, because this is the thing. We can't necessarily try to pin the sins of the ancestors on those who are alive today, which I think that's their fear. Their fear is that we're going to be seeking retribution or retaliation, when the truth of the matter is, no, I would rather seek information. I'd like to just understand, you know, do you understand, you know, how our families even come together, how we're related, how we could be related to someone? Because as I said, my name could have been a slave that was on the plantation that was given the last name. That I don't know whether or not a child was conceived from the slave owner.
So you don't know if you got white in your family then? That's what
I do on my mother's side, I do, because my mother's grandfather was white.
Is that right?
On my mother's side, my mother's grandfather was white. And his
but he wasn't a plantation owner. He just had relations with the black lady.
In his case, he had that's exactly right, on my mother's side. My grandmother and my mother are about your skin complexion.
Yeah.
My father is my skin complexion. My father was dark like me.
Yeah.
But on my mom's side, she's your complexion.
Is that right?
Because
I got Indian. I know. My mom used to say that.
So her grandfather was white. So my grandmother.
Did you ever meet him?
I didn't. He was actually. No, I didn't. I didn't meet him.
You didn't meet him?
No, I didn't meet him.
So where's the brains in your family come from? Did your father go to college, or your mother?
You know what that is? I'm glad you brought, because this is the thing. My mother and father, both of them graduated high school.
They did graduate from high school.
They graduated high school, but they were determined that if their child wanted to go to college, they would go. Now I went. My sister didn't want to go. But they made a way. They said, we'll make a way if you want to go, because we would love to have somebody in the family, because we couldn't go during our time frame. If you want to go, we'll make a way. And that's what they did. They made a way for me to go, and I went. So one of the things, it's interesting that you asked me that question, because I'm seriously teeter-tottering and considering doing a doctorate degree. Right now, I have 2 masters and I have a bachelor's. And I'm thinking about doing the doctorate. And one of the things I'm telling people is driving me is the fact that my grandmother only got to the 5th grade. Really? My grandmother got to the 5th grade, and she had to drop out of school to raise the rest of her family. So one of the things that's kind of driving me, because I'm really considering, I haven't made my decision yet, but one of the things that's driving my even thinking about doing it was the fact that my grandmother only got to 5th grade.
Let me ask you this. Yep. what does a fifth grade education mean? And could you tell she only had a fifth grade? Did you met her,
I
right?
could not. Now I do know, she worked in white folks' houses. She worked in our
There's a lot
Caucasian
of that
brothers'
going
house.
on.
That's what she did for a living, and it was
Yeah.
well respected. One of the things my cousin told me was, you would never know that your grandmother only got to fifth grade, because when she was in North Carolina, the crowd she hung with were all professional people. She hung with teachers and principals and all
Oh,
that. You would
really?
never know that she had only gone to fifth grade. And so when she moved from North Carolina to New Jersey, that's when she started taking the live-in and the sleep-in jobs, working for our white brothers and sisters. But you would not know to talk to her that she had only gone to fifth grade. Now, she got to fifth grade. Her daughter, which was my mother, got to high school. Me, my mother's son, got the 2 masters and a bachelor's and thinking about a doctorate. So that's what I'm saying. And people say, well, why would you want to do it? It's just because I can.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. One more on that note, this is kind of leading into what we're going to talk about anyway, as we talk about this education. With a fifth grade, could she read?
Yes, she could. She read very well. Now that wasn't always the case with everybody, but my grandmother, she learned how to do it, and that's what I'm saying. She hung with professional people, so she could read and read very well.
All this led into, as I've done, the channel for a number of years, there was a lot of things that the guy did, him and all his cronies, the white folk, the racists, so that we could not get an education and make it hard on us.
That's absolutely.
My first question is, why didn't they want us to get an education? Why would you think that was the case?
Now, Brother Brogdon, and Anthony, education is power, and particularly it's powerful when you begin to use it. So folks, I mean, our dominant group, dominant culture, our Caucasian brothers and sisters, they clearly understood, because they were getting their education. So they knew if they begin, because remember, the myth was, or what was perpetuated was, they were not as smart as we are. They're dumb, they're not human, they're animals. So in order to keep that perpetuated, we could not allow them to be educated. All right. And with that came along with, I mean, you literally, a person helping a Black person learn how to read at one point could be killed. Now, we had a lot of our white brothers and sisters who did do that on the sneak tip, as the kids can call it. They would do that on the side, on the slide, without folks knowing it, because that's how some of us did learn how to read. But they understood very well, from an economic and a power standpoint, that they get just as much education as we have, they can compete with us. So in order for them not to be able to compete, we got to keep them below us. And one of the ways to keep you below is to keep you uneducated.
How did the early days of a formal education system look like for Black people? Well, I'm talking about through grade school. I mean, you can't jump over that to college. So what was grade schools like?
That's a very good question, because first off, even for our white brothers and sisters, school to begin with was not a top priority. Only certain kids could go. It was like a hierarchy there, that even for white kids, there was only certain white kids could go. And that began to open up later on throughout the years in the early 1900s or what have you. But in terms of Black folks, we weren't even allowed to go to their schools. We had to set up our own schools. And matter of fact, many of our schools might have been like a one-room shack that had multiple grades in there. So you would have multiple grades in a one-room shack with not even the same resources your white school would have had. So even the kids who were allowed to go to school who were white, they still had better resources than the Black schools. Therein came the issues, because the white schools were now, as they were getting stronger and stronger, bigger and bigger, better and better, were getting more and more resources, versus the Black schools were not getting resources. So now this is the interesting dynamic though. In some respects, when we were in those one-room shacks that all grade levels was in the same room, in some respects, we learned better than we do now. When we had our own schools, and because the issue was, and I know through civil rights and everything, we took on integration, no question. Integration it is what it is. But what really we were fighting for was, okay, even if we don't integrate, let us at least be able to have access to the same resources. You're giving us subpar or substandard resources and expecting us to be able to learn with that. So that was what the fight really was. The fight really was about, let us have the same resources you have and we do what we want to do. Because when you start getting into the Black Wall Street, when you start getting into the Rosewoods, when you start getting into the Tulsa massacres and all that stuff, we were self-sufficient. In those communities, as Black people, we ran our own businesses, we had our own schools, we were self-sufficient. And every time we would obtain that self-sufficiency, the dominant group would come in and destroy it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They would come in and burn it down. They would come in and burn it up, burn it down. They would destroy it.
Yeah.
Because once again, they knew if they start doing it and they get the education, they got it.
So now in 1837, we get our first HBCU of Cheney in Pennsylvania. Do you know how that happened? How did we get a college?
But I tell you what, do I have access to share screen for a minute?
Yeah, let me do it.
Okay, so right there's a brief history of it from the college fund, from the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, another great brother. Historically, Black colleges and universities were established in the United States early in the 19th century to provide undergraduate and graduate level educational opportunities to people of African descent. Black students were unwelcome, that's the key word right there, unwelcome at existing public and private institutions of higher education, even after passing of specific legislation resulting in a lack of higher education opportunities. So that's why we began to begin with, going back to what I was saying earlier, because we were barred or wasn't given the same opportunity, we had to start our own.
So in 1837, I'm wondering who was smart enough to say, let me get a school, and we got enough Black people that can even qualify to go to college.
Well, if you go to this same website that I have on the screen there, it's starting there from 1799. It looks like it says Washington and Lee University admitted John Chavis, who's known as the first African-American on record to attend college. And we can read it from there. It says the majority of HBCUs originated from 1865 to 1900. 1867, 2 years after emancipation, Alabama State University, Barbara Scotia, Fayetteville, Howard, Johnson C. Smith, Morehouse, Morgan, all these different colleges. You mentioned, was it Lincoln you mentioned just now?
Well, Cheney.
Cheney.
Cheney is 1837. Lincoln is right there, and Wilberforce.
Okay, so these schools came about in those early 1800s, and again, because we were not allowed. It's the same reason why our wonderful fraternity was started. It's the same reason why Alpha Phi Alpha, those brothers up there at Cornell, said, you know what, you won't let us in your fraternities, we're gonna start our own. And that's how Alpha Phi Alpha became in existence.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the things, I'm gonna share screen, then I'm gonna take it back to you. There's a line in this song called Great Work that I absolutely love. And it starts right here where it says, so what should be considered as we proceed is that this work did not begin with you. And this is the lines that I love. Our mothers' mothers and fathers' fathers planted seeds when we were but the faint notion of a dream in their mind. They hoped for a harvest, a legacy, a great work.
Now, I wonder what would it been like to be a college student during slavery.
Brother, I'm telling you, they didn't even want us to read. I mean, if you go back to Frederick Douglass, who's another brother, if you go back to Frederick Douglass, to his times, and that was his thing, was that pushing of reading. And what helped him, again, was white folks took him to the side and taught him how to read. But that was against the law. It was against the law for somebody who looked like me and you to learn how to read. Now that tells you something right there, because still to this day, sadly, the people joke about it, it's cliche or whatever you want to call it, but people will say, you want to hide something from Black folks, put it in a book. We don't read. You're an author. Yeah. I heard you talking about your Black business book there.
Sure.
So if you want to hide something from Black folks, put it in a book. We must read. And to your question, I mean, you had folks even back in the 50s that they had to have the National Guard in order for them to step on the campus.
Yeah. What do you know anything to the qualifications that a person had to so that they could go to college?
My guess is, and again, I'd have to research this a little bit further.
Okay.
But my guess is the same kind of games that's played in terms of us being able to vote most likely was played in terms of us trying to enter a college. I'll bet you we didn't get in just on filling out the paperwork. Let me put it that way. I bet you there was a whole lot more shenanigans that went on for us to be accepted. So that just is a testament to the persistence of those that entered, you know, like you were talking earlier, because I went to, for the most part, a white university as well. Matter of fact, all three of the universities were white universities. But because of what was going on, that's when these folks came up with the historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs. Again, it was that attitude of, fine, you won't let me in, then it's kind of like that James Brown song.
Yeah.
You know, I ain't asking you for nothing. Just open up the door and let me in. I'll do it myself.
Now we can also note, though, is that in those early days, and I quoted in the book, there were white universities that were accepting Blacks. There were Dartmouth was big at it back in its day. They're one of the early ones that were accept Dartmouth. There were a lot of Blacks, you know, not a lot, but there were a number of Blacks getting their education. During slavery from Dartmouth, there was Oberlin in Ohio. Oberlin is and that whole town accepted Blacks and had grade schools for Blacks.
But see, this is why we can't just go on. That's why we can't just generalize and go on a white bashing spree.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is there were a lot of white folks that were a part of the movement, the civil rights movement, the educational movement. There was a lot of white folks. As a matter of fact, had it not been for them helping, we might not have gotten as far as we got. So it's not a matter of white bashing. It's not a matter of that. Going back to your question about would I like to meet some of the white ancestors or plantation owners? Yes, I would. From a historical standpoint, from an informational standpoint, from a knowledge standpoint, I would like to meet some of them, because it's not about trying to tear you down because your ancestor was the slave owner and my ancestor was the slave.
But and I totally agree with that, because the Quakers, not all of them, but I you know, you hear some stories, the Quakers had slaves too.
That's correct.
You know, but nonetheless, they were in fractions against slavery and pretty staunch abolitionists. There were even the white institutions that were part of slavery, and one of them that, and I'm not just picking on them, but let me just go with that name of Georgetown. Right. They were very well recognized as slave owners, helping build the school.
Absolutely. When you get into, as much as we love Howard University, we know our vice president is from there. I know I have wonderful friends that graduated from Howard, but the truth of the matter is Howard University was financed in the beginning by white folks. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. This is not about, and anybody watching it, this is not Mark and Anthony bashing white folks.
No, not at all.
That.
Yeah.
It is, though, explaining our experience and the tenacity. And I heard what you were talking about with strong inspiration of what that stood for. Make no mistake, the fact that we were able to create and build and maintain and go to HBCUs is a testament to strong inspiration. The fact that we are even getting as much education as we are now. And that's why I encourage, as an educator, our students as much as possible. And I will be one of the first principals to say, I'm not necessarily one to say you have to go to college, but I do tell my students, we have to have you ready and prepared for options. So if your option is not college and you choose to go to a trade school, fine. You want to go to a tech school? Fine. You want to go to the military? Fine. You want to be an entrepreneur? Fine. Our job is to prepare you to do that. And so it's not like I'm going to be going college. But if that's what you want to do, then we need to prepare you for it. And as an African-American, you need to understand when you go into these institutions, the expectation is not going to be the same for you as it's going to be for your white counterpart. When you walk in the door, I tell, because I was a professor at a couple of colleges. And at one I was just telling this story the other day. Because at that time I was in my 30s. I was young then, for sure. And I would just kind of walk around the class in the beginning of the class with the students, because this was an all-white university. I just kind of walk around the class. And then at 6 o'clock when class time came, I went behind the teacher desk and they would do double takes. What? You're the professor? Yes, I'm your professor. And so the expectation was not that we're going to have this black man as our professor. They were expecting a white professor to come in there. So they were shocked whenever I went behind the desk, especially after kind of walking around the class with them, talking with them,
Yeah, right,
joking with them.
right.
I'm your professor. Same thing when you walk up the class. In many of the, and you know, because you went to a white institution. In many cases, we were the only blacks in the class.
That's right.
And so it is imperative that we get our education. I was sharing with you earlier. One of the things that's really driving me is the fact that my grandmother only got to 5th grade. So at some point, I'm expecting to say, yeah, my grandmother went to 5th grade, but look where I got to.
You know, and I love it where you at on this angle. And as an educator, and it's an all boys school that you're at.
Yeah, the school that I currently have is it's a single gender school. It's a all males, and it's a leadership academy.
Let me ask you this: the makeup of the kids, if you don't mind, you got some A students.
I have some, not all.
Yeah, but you got some A students. What makes them A students?
Oh, now, how long you got? I'll tell you.
We got the 10 minutes you got left.
I'm gonna go back to what my mom and dad always said when I was a kid. It starts in the home. What makes them an A student? It starts in the home. It's their parents. Now, we have some kids that don't have parents per se. They might be foster kids or adopted kids or what have you, but they have some type of a guardian. It starts with somebody, one, viewing education as a high priority. 2, it starts with somebody helping that student understand the importance of education and why they need to go in there, be respectful, learn what they can learn, and connect it to what it will do for them as an adult. They need to be able to connect their education, as I said a couple of minutes ago, with their options. The more education you have, I think we told the kids something the other day, like the more you learn, the more you earn. The less you learn, the less you earn. The less you learn, the less you earn.
Yeah, that's right.
So we trying to help to connect the boys, because I tell the boys all the time, look, there's only 2 ways. There's one thing all of us are going to need for the rest of our days. That's money. There's only 2 ways to make money, legally and illegally. We want to set you up so that you'll be able to make as much money as you want legally. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is with education. Your education gives you the options to be whatever you want to be, go where you want to go, do what you want to do, make as much you want to make. You don't have your education, you have very limited options.
Yeah. When we talk about education, you know, you've heard this, man, why I got to take that class? That ain't gonna help me in life. You know what I'm saying? What does taking that class do later in life for somebody? And you pick a class that they tell you that it ain't worth it.
Brother, I hear that every day in terms of even their math class, because, you know, in the 8th grade, they're learning algebra. And so now as the teachers up there trying to help them understand, you know, run over rise and slope and, you know, equations and the words that's in word problem, that's exactly what the boys are saying. Why do I need this? I don't understand why I take this class. There's a couple of different ways you can get. One, we try to help the boys say, all right, you may not use it per se, not realizing that these concepts that he's teaching you, you're using every day. You just don't know it's math. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is if you intend to have a career as an engineer or somebody who's going to code in terms of computers and all that, you are going to need math. Then we broke it down to him was there was nothing in the room that wasn't designed that didn't have a mathematical equation associated with it. So that was one. And then the other piece of it is, all right, you might not use it, but we still need you to be able to critically think.
There you go.
So if nothing else,
the
fact that you have to solve these problems is working on your thinking skills. It's working on your ability to figure things out. So you may not use the course per se, but we're broadening your horizons. We're stretching your mind to be able to think.
There you go. I like that. That is the end of it. Because you know, I really think a lot of times, you know, they'll even use this term. Why do I need a college degree? I know people with college degree don't even have jobs. You know, they say that stuff. I mean, there's always some excuse they go, you know, people can come up with. And yeah, there's always going to be some folks that they got PhDs and could be having some hardship. So that's exactly right. Guarantee. But to me, what it does is set you at a certain level. Because there are companies that will say, I don't care if this other person is smarter than you in normal terms. Common sense, blase. I'm not letting them have that job because they don't have a college degree.
Right. You're absolutely right. Because that's sadly, Because like I said, I said it a few minutes ago, I don't necessarily force college on kids, but what you just said is key. A lot of companies, and especially when you connect race to it, will use that degree as a way to weed you out. So now you go up in there, black, no degree. That's one way they can say why they didn't take you. Now you might be smarter than the white boy who does have a degree.
That's right.
But because you don't have that piece of paper, they now have a mechanism to weed you out. Well, why didn't I get the job? Because you didn't have that degree, but this guy did.
Yeah, that's right. And then you couple that with not just the other thing that I say this and I say this glowingly, the people that I hung out with in college, I like these people. I mean, they got something going on. So now I got friendships and relationships with like-minded people who
Correct.
got something going on.
Correct. We were jesting and jiving about that before the call started about why we chose alpha versus kappa versus Q versus whatever. Right. That's exactly why, like-minded people.
Right.
Like we chose alpha because we had like-minded brothers who thought like us.
Right.
All right. So you're absolutely right. That's what college does. Not to mention the connections and the networking that you make. In terms like the degree that I got in order for me to be a principal was the master's in education. A lot of those folks that I went to school with are either my colleagues or there's somebody I can pick up the phone and say, yo, you ever had this situation? How'd you handle it? Right. So you have that networking and you have the colleagues that you can pull on. So yeah, it has its pluses and advantages. There's no question college has that. But you brought up a key one now in terms of what employers can do when they start deciding who they want to choose as their candidate. And like I said a couple of minutes ago, if it's a matter of I'm black and I'm smarter than the white boy who has a degree, but I don't have a degree, I'm black and I'm not getting that job. Because I will say this, some of the smartest people I know really don't have a degree, and some of the dumbest people I know do have a degree. Yeah. But if it comes down to that employment situation, it is a wonderful weeding out mechanism.
Now in Patterson, your school, you said a leadership academy. Does that mean do you have to qualify to get in?
It's not necessarily qualified, but it's called a choice school. So it's not like, and most of the schools within the district, because we have 50 some schools in the district, most of the time the children go to the school that's closest to their home address. Then we have schools within the district that they do have to apply for and they have to interview for. So say, for example, today, and we interview the parent and the child. We get letters of recommendation and we look at their transcripts. We're not looking for a perfect child, but we are looking for a child that does have some leadership potential that might do better in a smaller environment, because my school is very small in comparison to the other schools. I've led schools with 500 and 600 and 700 kids. My school, my academy is less than 100 right now. So
really?
Yes, it is great because that's the small setting that I'm talking about. So we're looking for kids that may be struggling in a class that's 30 or 35 kids that might do better in a class that has 10 or 15. And then we get a chance to teach a little bit differently than the other schools in the district. Matter of fact, I don't think your viewers can see me, but I'm wearing a dashiki. Right. On any given day, if I'm not wearing the school uniform, I come in a dashiki because we do a lot of work on our ancestry. We do a lot of work on our ethnicity. We do a lot of self-esteem work because the bulk of my population is either African-American or Hispanic boys. So we get a chance. So this same kind of conversation me and you are having right now, I can have this same conversation with my boys at the school. Matter of fact, when your video comes out, I can show this at the school. Yeah, yeah. And that would not be foreign to them because these are the kind of conversations we have to help them understand they're growing up in a society and a world that's going to try to tell them they're nothing simply because of the color of their skin.
When we talk about the hopelessness that kids grow up with, is there something that a common denominator that you've run into a kid under that circumstance and he himself just had some burning in them that overcame the circumstances when they left the school, but in the school, they really wanted something out of life?
Yes. The first part of career, I was in corporate America. I worked for AT&T for 15 years. The latter part of my career, the last 21 years, I've been in education. I've been in schools. And over that 21-year period of time, I've kind of spanned the gamut in terms of what's happened to. So I've had students who wound up in jail. I've had students who wound up being murdered. I've had students who have been murderers. And then I've had students who's gone on to be doctors. I've had students who've gone on to be teachers. And they come from all different home lives. Many of them, the bulk of them, single family, single mom homes. Some of the kids, their home life keeps them down and like you just said, hopeless. And for other kids, that hopelessness is the fuel that motivates and gives them the discipline to say, I am not going to live like this the rest of my days. I'm gonna do what I need to do to get up out of here. And if I choose to come back to the city, great. And if I don't, that's fine too. There's a wonderful movie we've been doing. As a matter of fact, this gentleman was a guest on my radio show about a month ago, Steve Pemberton. He did a movie called A Chance in the World. And that movie was based on the fact that his babysitter, when he was 5, because his parents had gotten killed or was killed, his father was murdered, mother died. Babysitter told him, kid, you don't have a chance in the world. And he put in his mind at that point, I'm going to show you I do have a chance in the world. And Steve has gone on to be an author and entrepreneur and businessman and philanthropist and the whole nine. But wonderful story. If you get a chance to see it, it's a great movie, A Chance in the World. It's based on the life of Steve Pemberton. And he is a case of what you just described, that because he was a foster kid that was being abused, his circumstances propelled him to be the success he is as an adult. I've had students the same way. Students growing up in housing projects, students growing up, dad's a drunkard, mom can't be found. And that was the fuel they needed to say, you know what, that was mom and dad, but I'm gonna do better. For others, that took them out.
Can you, when you see this, how does it make you feel?
Well, this is
what's your position on it? Because
well,
I mean, you cry at night, every night. You got this kid that he got a hardship. I mean, how do you deal with it?
Well, and again, it's about, first off, it's about never giving up on anybody, regardless of what their situation is. And the second thing is, you do all you can do and know you've done all you can do in terms of trying to help them out of the situation. Because I'm the same way I'm transparent and unfiltered here, the same way I am with my kids. So I tell them right off, I said, let me be very clear with you. After everything that I've said and done and worked with you and done this, if you go out there and I see you in an orange jumpsuit, I am not going to lose a wink of sleep, because I know everything that I tried to work out of you and work with you to do. If you chose to not do what we've been instructing you to do, that's on you. Now, is it hurtful? Yes, it is. Every now and again, I will get a newspaper clipping of a former student in an orange jumpsuit, and I'll just go, dang. Every now and again, I'll look in the paper and I'll see a kid that I had got killed. Like, oh, but at the end of the day, I will know I will have done everything that I could to prevent that. I'll give you a case in point. I know we're probably running close to out of time, but just like a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month now, one of my former teachers sent me an email, said, did you hear about such and such? I said, no. I pull up the clip. I see him in an orange jumpsuit. Now, this was a kid, when he was with me and that teacher, the kid, we said, if you improve in your behavior, because he played football, there was a pair of cleats that he wanted that cost $200. The teacher had said, if you improve in your behavior, I'll buy those cleats for you. Once the teacher had told me that, I said, I'll tell you what, kid, I won't say his name. If you improve your behavior, I'll go half on him with the teacher. So the teacher will pay 100, I'll pay 100. Kid never did improve his behavior. Just graduated high school this past June. Now he's facing down life for murder. So my first reaction was, I know everything we did to try to keep this kid from this, and yet he still chose that. So back to your question, no, I did not lose one wink of sleep, because we know everything we tried to pour into this kid. I've had him in my offices pulling up videos to show him what can happen. If you do this, you get that. We've had talks, we've gone on walks, we offered the $200 cleats. Get real talk with him, yet he still chose, for whatever reason, to go down that road. And now he's staring down life imprisonment, and he's only 19 years old.
As we kind of come to a close, and because the show is Black History, I guess I want to close on a Black History note.
All right.
Of some sort. You tell me what that is.
I'll tell you what it is. First off, learn and know our history. That's the first thing, because In my schools, they know the N word, and I'm being nice because I know we on film. That's why I'm saying N word. Otherwise, I'd say the whole word.
Yeah,
But
I say the whole word too.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So in my schools or in
Yeah.
my presence, the word nigga is not used straight up. And I help the kids understand you need to understand the history of that word. When that word was being used on us, we were less than a human being. If you look back in the Constitution or whatever the document is, they were talking 3/5 of a man. Now, I don't know how you get 3/5 of a man. I don't know how you get 3/5 of a human being, but we were considered less than a man when we were being called niggas. Nigga is not cute to me, no kind of way, no matter how you spell it. I don't care if it's Nigger, Niggah, Nigga. I don't care how you say it or you spell it, it's not cute. And if you understood your history, when we were being called niggas, you wouldn't use it either. Black people are the only people I know that will try to take a term that was derogatory or is derogatory and try to turn it around and say it's something cute. No other group does that. You do not have Italian people saying, yo, my guinea. Yet you have us talking about, yo, my nigga. You don't have, Mexican folks talking about, yo, that's my wetback. You don't have folks saying it. You don't have them saying it. You don't have Jews saying, yo, that's my Jaime. Yo, that's my kike. You don't have these groups saying that about themselves on terms that was used in a derogatory fashion around them. And yet we go around acting loud and proud. Yo, that's my nigga. So my first thing on a Black history is we need to understand our Black history.
There it is.
And if we understood our Black history, some behaviors and some thinking would change.
What's the name of the school and that kind of thing? And
all right.
Yeah.
You can tell my passion about it. You were hitting on the buttons there.
Yeah, no, man, I'm with it. I'm with it.
My school is the Young Men's Leadership Academy. It is in Paterson, New Jersey. It's part of Paterson Public School System. Many people think we're a charter school or a private school, but we're not, but we're run like one. This is probably the closest thing I'll ever get to having my own school unless I open my own school. We tease our parents all the time and say, look, you're getting private school services for public school prices. Because
the really tutelage of the expert, the man who cares.
That's exactly
That's
right.
It.
That's it.
Who will wear a dashiki and say, hey, I'm wearing this proudly.
I am, because I mean, like I said, we do the dashiki and we go over what that was all about, the various necklaces I wear. I have an African name. My name is Mark Allen Medley. My African name is Ajamu Alade Abanimi. I did the research and found out the meanings that meant the same thing as my American name and adopted that name as well. So Alade, so my first Ajamu Alade Abanimi. So we get into all of our backgrounds, our histories, our culture. The boys know, like I showed you in the beginning of the show. On my father's side, Guinea-Bissau. My mother's side, Cameroon, excuse me. Look on the African map and look it up. So yeah, man, who cares? You're right. That's it. So if you want to know more about me, the best place to go, the hub, is my website, markamedley.com. MarcAmedley.com.
Everybody check it out. Check it out. Hey, thank you for coming on the show.
Man, thank you for inviting me.
Worth the wait, brother. Oh my God.
I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Man, this was worth the wait. I'm so excited. I tell you, that is good stuff. Because I see, the passion, it just oozes, man. The passion there, we ain't got a question that there's no question about that. Everybody, come on, hit the subscribe button, because now check it out, everybody. We talk Black history, that's the thing, and we give you some, but my man, his thing was that plus. And that's a good thing. And so you could just say what he talked about is what we've been feeling throughout the years. This hasn't changed. This inequities and the resources and all that hasn't changed. We're still going through some of that.
Right.
There's no question about that. You can tell the difference in the size of the schools and the look of the schools and so on and so forth. But that at the end of the day, that didn't stop nobody. Correct. And some of them kids at his school, that don't stop us. See, that's why bigger than that.
That's why I love your strong inspiration acronym. That's why I love what you said that was about.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I might have to steal that from you and help the boys understand what those letters mean.
Please do. I'll text it to you.
Yes.
You know how we do.
Yes, indeed.
And then I'll be coming that way. I'm gonna come out. Soon enough traveling again, other than the Kansas City piece.
Well, I tell you,
I'm
when you
back on
come
the
that way,
road.
you come visit my school.
I love to do
I'll
it.
have you talk to the boys.
I
Matter
love
of
to
fact,
do
even
it.
if you can't come, I'll put you on Zoom and we'll do just like we doing now.
I love to do it.
All
Count
right.
me in. No question about it. And we'll talk more offline too. And
Yes,
I'll tell you
indeed.
something else I'm working on.
All right.
Hit the subscribe button, everybody. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up. Tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. The train has left the station, my friends.
All right now.
We give it to you straight, no chaser, like I say, from all angles.
Right.
And because the aim is to inspire, educate, and entertain. And I say to you, frat brother man, I want you with all sincerity, and I mean this, I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind, because you have been led. You did other things in life. You talked about the corporate America, and then something flipped and said, I got more in me. And you moved on it.
Correct.
A bunch of years ago.
Correct.
And being who you are, you at the top of the heap at your institution, so that you can institute it, mobilize it, employ it as you see fit, with the with the help of the others.
Correct.
With the help of the others, getting it all together and churning out some young winners.
Yes, indeed.
Some young winners. Young men, you watch this, y'all become winners like this guy. With that, I'll say bye-bye, we out.
And brother, thank you so much. I had a blast.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, man.
Yeah.
All right.